baby, let me down. 나 괜찮으니 어디든 나를 데려다줘. Let me go, baby, hold me close. It doesn't matter. 어디든 나를 어둠 속을 버티려 해. 널 끝까지 붙잡고서 나 너를 바라 보이지 않아. 내 모든 시작 끝에 있는 이질 속에 날 안아줄 단 하나의 이름이여. 너를 바라 우리를 찾아 이 삶의 끝에 닿으려 해.
U.S. President Donald Trump says Washington will eventually recover Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium, saying the U.S. will take and destroy it. This comes despite reports that Iran's supreme leader has insisted none of the material can leave the country. Two South Korean activists returned home this morning after being released by Israeli forces that had detained them on 8 vessels bound for the Gaza Strip earlier this week. Starting today, members of Samsung Electronics' labor union will vote on a wage agreement after the union agreed to cancel a planned strike following a last-minute deal with management. The tentative deal will pass if a majority of members participate and more than half vote in favor. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. U.S. President Donald Trump says the United States will take and destroy Iran's highly enriched uranium. However, Iran's supreme leader says the material cannot leave the country. Trump's Secretary of State Marco Rubio says some progress has been made in peace talks, but that obstacles remain. Our Isujin reports.
The U.S. and Iran remain locked in opposition over control over the Strait of Hormuz and Tehran's nuclear program. Speaking at the White House on Thursday, U.S. President Donald Trump said Iran would not be allowed to keep its stockpile of highly enriched uranium and reaffirmed Washington's belief that it will be used for a nuclear weapon.
No, we get the highly enriched. We will get it. We don't need it. We don't want it. We'll probably destroy it after we get it, but we're not going to let them have it.
Iran, however, insists that its nuclear ambitions are purely for civilian purposes. According to Reuters, Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei has directed officials not to allow the enriched uranium, which is believed to total 440 kilograms, to leave the country. Iranian leadership reportedly believes that surrendering the stockpile would leave the country vulnerable to future U.S. or Israeli attacks. Before departing for a NATO ministerial meeting in Sweden on the same day, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said there had been some progress in talks, but called out Iran over its efforts to implement tolls for ships wishing to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. He added that any diplomatic resolution would become impossible if Iran goes ahead with a toll system. Rubio also expressed frustration with European allies who had refused to grant military base access during the conflict.
No one in the world is in favor of a tolling system. It can't happen. It would be unacceptable. It would make a diplomatic deal unfeasible if they were to continue to pursue that. So it's a threat to the world if they were to try to do that. And it's completely illegal. I don't think anyone is shocked to know that the United States and the president in particular is very disappointed at NATO right now.
Although little progress appears to have been made since a fragile ceasefire 6 weeks ago, a diplomatic window is still open. One of the peace talks' central mediators, Pakistan's Army Chief Asim Munir, possibly left for Tehran on Thursday for talks, according to sources from Reuters. U.S. officials indicate that the outcome of Pakistani-led meetings over the coming days will determine the fate of the ceasefire. 이수진, Arirang News.
2 South Korean activists returned home this morning after being released by Israeli forces following separate interceptions of 8 vessels headed toward the Gaza Strip earlier this week. Kim Ha-hyun had been aboard a ship seized by Israeli forces in waters off Gaza, while Kim Dong-yeon was on another 8 vessel intercepted near Cyprus. The two were released on Wednesday and traveled back to South Korea together, arriving at Incheon International Airport at 6:24 a.m. this morning. The release comes as President Lee Jae-myung on Wednesday condemned Israel's seizure of humanitarian aid vessels and accused Israel of violating international law. A union vote is underway at Samsung Electronics on a tentative wage agreement that could deliver major pay raises and massive performance bonuses for semiconductor employees. The proposed deal includes a new profit-linked bonus system tied to chip division earnings and could become legally binding if approved by union members by next week. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
A union vote on a tentative wage agreement between Samsung Electronics management and labor begins Friday, with the outcome set to determine whether the deal officially takes legal effect. The company's labor union will launch an electronic vote on Friday at 2 p.m. that will continue through to next Tuesday morning. The agreement will pass if a majority of eligible union members participate and more than half vote in favor. If the proposal is rejected, labor and management will have to resume negotiations. The tentative 2026 wage deal includes a newly created special management performance bonus funded by 10.5% of semiconductor division operating profits, a new housing loan program worth up to 500 million won, or about $332,000, and an average wage increase of 6.2%. Brokerage firms estimate Samsung Electronics could post operating profits of around 300 trillion won this year, equivalent to roughly $200 billion. If that forecast holds, employees in the memory chip division could receive combined bonuses worth up to 600 million won, or about $400,000 this year, including both the new special bonus and existing excess profit incentive pay. The special management bonus will be paid entirely in company stock after taxes. Even employees in non-memory semiconductor businesses, including System LSI and Foundry divisions, expected to remain unprofitable this year, are projected to receive at least 160 million won, or roughly $77,000, through shared profit distribution within the semiconductor division. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Korea's tech-heavy KOSDAQ triggered a buy-side sidecar for a second straight day this morning after another sharp early rally. The KOSDAQ 150 futures index surged more than 6%, activating the curve about 30 minutes after the opening bell and halting buy orders for 5 minutes. The junior bourse opened about 1% higher and briefly climbed above the 1,150 mark during the session. That followed Thursday's rally of more than 4%, which also triggered a buy-side sidecar. Meanwhile, the benchmark KOSPI opened slightly higher this morning in the 7,800 range after soaring more than 8% a day earlier. And the Korean government froze fuel price ceilings for a 4th consecutive round amid stable oil supplies on Thursday, while extending fuel tax cuts for another 2 months in an effort to ease inflationary pressure. Our Cho Young-eun has the details.
Fuel tax cuts in South Korea will remain as they are through the end of July, as the government moves to ease inflationary pressure and reduce the burden on households. The decision was made during a task force meeting on Thursday.
We will extend the fuel tax cuts, originally set to expire at the end of this month, through the end of July, and make every effort to ease the public's fuel cost burdens.
Under the plan originally set to expire at the end of May, the current 15% cut on gasoline and the 25% reduction on diesel will both be extended. In price terms, the cuts translate to a reduction of 122 won per liter for gasoline, 145 won per liter for diesel. In particular, a larger reduction has been applied to diesel, which is considered essential for industries and logistics. The government first introduced the fuel tax cuts at the current levels on March 27th, following the outbreak of the conflict in the Middle East, up from the previous 7 to 10% range.
Uncertainty surrounding the Middle East conflict continues. Producer prices are rising, upward pressure on consumer inflation is growing. The government will remain highly vigilant, restore market order, and do its utmost to stabilize prices and ease the burden on people's livelihoods.
Meanwhile, the fuel price cap will remain at 1,934 won per liter for retailers, around $1.28 US, and diesel would stay at 1,923 won. Household kerosene will stay at 1,531 per liter. The government's sixth fuel price cap will take effect at midnight on May 22nd. In addition, the government decided to extend the adjustment cycle from every 2 weeks to 4, considering the continued instability in the Middle East and international oil prices. 조영은, Arirang News.
South Korea is solidifying its position as a global hub for climate action. Two major international climate bodies, the Global Green Growth Institute and the Green Climate Fund, held their first ever joint conference in Seoul since their establishment in Korea. Our Jung Il-im was there.
A GGGI-GCF Joint Conference marks a new level of cooperation between green policy design and financial execution. For the first time since they were founded, the Global Green Growth Institute and the Green Climate Fund have shared a single stage, with the agenda aiming to use South Korea as a base to launch concrete climate projects in developing countries.
Climate change does not respect national borders, and it does not care about political views. I have been speaking out repeatedly many times around the world. There is not a single country in this world, however powerful, however resourceful, no country can do it alone.
This is happening at a moment when international cooperation is more fragile than it has been in a generation. Stepping back on multilateral climate action is the wrong instinct. Korea has put its weight and capital behind global climate action, and their leadership at home is widely recognized and applauded.
Leaders at the conference emphasized taking immediate action rather than holding endless debates. GGGI has now grown to 55 member states and helped secure $4 billion in green investments last year. For the GCF, it has already committed $20 billion to 353 projects worldwide, reaching nearly 1.8 billion people in developing countries.
GCF is about finance, and GGGI is about implementation. When they work together, we can scale up and speed up climate actions for the world. By doing green transformation initiative, AI transformation initiative, Korea will become a next generation global hub.
Additionally, through the Korea Green New Deal Trust Fund, domestic institutions like the Korea Development Bank are actively lowering investment risks abroad, including a $100 million energy efficiency project in Indonesia. Future joint efforts will also focus on green AI and the global voluntary carbon market. Thursday's joint conference shows that South Korea is no longer just a host country providing office space, but an active architect creating a new ecosystem for global climate action. Jung Il-im, Arirang News.
With naphtha supplies becoming increasingly unstable, waste plastic is drawing renewed attention as an alternative source of raw materials. A disposable cup deposit system is proving effective. Our Kim So-young tells us more.
At a cafe on Jeju-do Island, customers put used disposable cups into a machine and instantly get their 300 won deposit back through an app. It's part of a disposable cup deposit system, which is becoming more than just a way to collect used cups. It's increasingly being seen as a way to secure valuable recyclable materials. According to the Jeju Special Self-Governing Province Office, the program has reduced the amount of plastic used for disposable cups by 121 tons and paper by 81 tons. The collective cups are then compressed before being turned back into raw materials. Those materials are already being used to make a wide range of products.
Plastic cups can be turned into fabric for clothing, filling for blankets, and other products. Paper cups can be recycled as well.
But experts say those efforts alone are not enough. People in South Korea use 19 kilograms of single-use plastic per person each year, including 1.4 kilograms in disposable cups alone. That's around 100 cups. And the country generates 103.9 kilograms of plastic waste per person annually, the second highest among OECD countries after Australia. Experts say South Korea needs a broader system to collect and recycle more waste plastic.
There is still a lot of plastic that is not being properly recycled. One solution is to make sure as much of it as possible can be recycled. Disposable cups, in particular, should be collected and recycled.
A small step to return a disposable cup is helping build a circular economy and reduce reliance on naphtha, while giving consumers a simple incentive in return. Kim So-young, Arirang News.
South Korean film director Jin Mi-song has won second prize in the La Cinef category at this year's Cannes Film Festival. According to the festival's organizers on Thursday, Jin received the award in the section that honors outstanding student films for her 17-minute short film, Silent Voices. Jin thanked the jury, saying she was surprised by the unexpected result and grateful that the judges recognized the film's sincerity. The film portrays a Korean immigrant family in New York, with each family member facing struggles and emotional isolation in their daily lives. An international event themed horticulture and healing is currently underway in Taean County, offering visitors a space to heal the body and mind through flowers and gardens. Our Taean reports.
Colorful flowers decorate the gardens, and sunflower-shaped installations welcome visitors. Children gathering in front of the flowers are smiling from ear to ear as they have their pictures taken.
We can enjoy watching butterflies fly among the many flowers with the children. The weather is also perfect, so it feels fantastic.
An international expo with the theme of horticulture and healing is being held in Taean County, Chungcheongnam-do Province, for the first time in the world. Visitors take the time to heal their bodies and minds while taking in the sweet scent of flowers.
I'm happy to be out here after working. I should make more time to visit.
Seeing and smelling beautiful flowers feels like it's healing my soul. It's really wonderful.
Visitors can create their own digital flowers through painting and become butterflies flying over flower beds using motion recognition technology. There is also voice recognition technology where flowers respond to a visitor's greeting by opening and closing their petals. Offering visitors physical and mental healing and new experiences through various horticultural therapy programs and exhibitions. The 2026 Taean International Horticultural Healing Expo will be held until May 24th at Gotji Beach Park in Anmyeonup, Taean County, Chungcheongnam-do Province. Cha Yoon-kyung, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States will send an additional 5,000 troops to Poland. Trump on Thursday said the reason for the decision was his personal relationship with Poland's newly elected president, Karol Nawrocki, whom he said he is, quote, proud to endorse. The announcement comes 2 days after Vice President J.D. Vance had said the deployment had been delayed. The U.S. had been expected to scale back its troop presence in Europe following Trump's demands that NATO play a greater role in its own defense. Ebola has been confirmed in the Democratic Republic of Congo's South Kivu province, hundreds of kilometers from the outbreak's epicenter in Ituri. The outbreak has now killed 160 people, with 670 suspected cases. Uganda has suspended flights to Congo as a precaution. In the town of Rampara, police fired warning shots and tear gas after the family of a suspected Ebola victim refused a safe burial and protesters burned down 2 medical treatment tents. 6 patients being treated inside were moved to hospital. Experts say confirmed cases likely represent only the tip of the iceberg. A French appeals court handed down a guilty verdict on Thursday against Air France and Airbus over the worst aviation disaster in French history. In 2009, a flight from Rio de Janeiro to Paris went down in the Atlantic Ocean, killing all 228 people aboard. Investigators found that the crash was due to the pilots stalling the plane while trying to deal with iced-up sensors. The court handed down a fine of $261,000 to each company, widely dismissed as a token penalty given the company's revenues. Both companies announced they would take the case to France's highest court. Chicago's Field Museum opens the Pokémon Fossil Museum on Friday, the first time the Japanese exhibition has been displayed outside Japan. The exhibit compares real ancient fossils with fossil-based Pokémon characters from the video game series. It was developed by Japan's National Museum of Nature and Science and the Pokémon Company. The exhibition runs until April 2027. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
What a difference a day makes. After yesterday's cool and rainy weather, today feels much brighter and warmer, with sunshine taking over across much of the country. Meanwhile, most of the East Coast regions remain breezy, with highs staying in the mid to upper teens. The holiday weekend is shaping up to be warm and mostly sunny. Temperatures will climb a little higher each day, and Seoul could make it to 30 degrees Celsius by Monday, bringing back full early summer heat. And this afternoon, highs will go up 5 to 7 degrees higher than yesterday in many parts of Korea, with Seoul and Daejeon getting up to 26 degrees, Gwangju at 25 degrees, then Daegu will make it to 23 degrees Celsius with strong UV rays during the day. Air quality will be good nationwide. Then nationwide rain next Tuesday will put the brakes on rising heat. Then temperatures will stay near season norms throughout next week.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.